Dutch constitution will be amended to ban LGBTQ plus discrimination. Dutch lawmakers voted Tuesday to expand Article 1 of the Constitution of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to explicitly include bans on discrimination based on sexual orientation and disability. The proposition is the result of a very long initiative by the coalition party D86 and the left-wing opposition parties PvdA and GroenLinks. Following the Dutch Senate's Tuesday vote, which passed the proposal in a 56-15 vote, it now only needs to be signed by King Willem-Alexander and the responsible minister before being published in the Staatscourant, the official government publication that announces new laws. Article 1 of the Dutch Constitution already states that citizens of the Netherlands shall be treated equally and includes protections based on religion, belief, political opinion, race, or sex. It also states that discrimination on any other grounds whatsoever shall not be permitted. But Dutch LGBTQ plus advocacy organization COC Nederlands has advocated for enshrining LGBTQ plus rights in the Constitution since 2004. Said that the explicit mention of sexual orientation is an important moment for the rights of people who identify with diverse genders and sexualities. It is a historic victory for the LGBTQ plus community, according to Astrid Ozenberg from COC Netherlands. LGBTQ plus rights are finally proudly mentioned in Article 1 and are no longer hidden. Ela Schofer, CEO of director and leader of the Dutch organization representing people with disabilities and chronic illness, said that the amendment is badly needed because people who live with disabilities often experience discrimination and exclusion. I think it's interesting that I believe there's a trend now, and the United States is part of it, where we're reaffirming some LGBTQ plus rights because we realize that people will find loopholes to discriminate us. Absolutely. And the Netherlands is already a very progressive place, probably one of the places with, where it's the safest to be queer in terms of your job and, government protections. But, even then and there, they probably have experienced or are in fear of experiencing something like we're experiencing here in Florida, for example.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you reported on, the most important thing is the explicit mentioning of our community in legislation. The more that we can get mentioned, the better off we are, the better we can protect ourselves in the future, the less questions in the future. When we have, diverse people of different ideologies questioning the laws, questioning our community, we can go right to the law, the written word, and say, here it mentions
exactly,
the LGBTQ plus community and disabled folks, right? And so, the more we're mentioned, the better we position ourselves for the future, protect our rights.
100%.
We here in the United States still need to pass the Equality Act.
Yes.
Many people don't realize LGBTQ and straight don't realize that LGBTQ people are not federally protected from discrimination in employment and housing and public accommodations. That's something that the task force has been working on for many years. We continue to work on. Obviously, with the divided Congress right now, that progress is going to be less likely to happen in this Congress, but we need to keep fighting that battle on the federal, state, and local levels.
Even with drag queens in office? No.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Of course, you were in the military.
Right.
So to a certain extent, you were forced out of a job that you've told me before that you really liked.
Yes. The thing is that, I was more forced out medically.
Okay.
So I have a lower back disability. It's not a secret. But did I have an option to retrain in another area? Yes. They gave me the option. The reason I didn't take the option is because I really enjoyed what I was doing and I just didn't see myself doing anything else. And we're talking about my 20-something self versus my 50-year-old self now. If I knew then what I knew now, what would I have actually chosen? But long story short, I was in before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So would I really want to stay in during that time? Probably not. It was never a comfortable situation. And believe me, there were some hidden groups within the groups. And it took a while to figure out who was who. But even then, you were still very nervous, even if you went somewhere. So
Yeah.
And it's odd even now to this day. I'm kind of like, am I allowed here? It's weird.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
Now, of course, much of the rights here in the and God bless the Dutch. Thank you very much, Netherlands, for continuing to lead the way on this. But much of such as marriage equality is based on our 14th Amendment, which of course is under attack. We were name checked by Justice Thomas last summer in the Dobbs decision. I was curious, do you think that it's good to have the 14th Amendment like we do that can be expanded upon, but also retracted upon? Or is it better to go like the Dutch have and put specific things in there, but might limit things later on as we go?
Yeah, I think the 14th Amendment have given us flexibility over time, but I think increasingly as we're seeing with our such a polarized society, such polarized in politics, I think the more explicit, the better. Because it's written, right? That's the written word. That's the law of the land. And it's hard to question it and challenge it, right? It's hard for justices to say, well, I strictly interpreted it versus, like loosely interpreted it. And that's what the justices typically do. They either interpret the law loosely, that's typically associated with, more liberal leaning, or they interpret it strictly, and that's with more conservative leaning. So I think the more explicit, the better. Right now, look at our court. It's heavily divided one side, right? And we know that side that Justice Thomas represents. And so the more and more that we have such a polarized political system, I think it's better to explicitly mention things. That way, when it's called the question, when the Supreme Court has a case in front of them, there's no doubt what it actually states. And so in the past, I would have said, the 14th Amendment gives us more flexibility. It allows us to include more people as we develop as a nation, as a society. But I think we've come to a point where, because of our politics, because of the way our society has progressed over time, we need to go and really have things laid out to us and directly written down.
Okay.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.